Welcome to the Transformation Institute's podcast for change. Here is our host, Omari Jahi Aton.
Hey, what's happening, y'all? Welcome to the Transformation Institute podcast for change. I'm your host, Omari Jahi, and we're in for an interesting topic tonight. This topic is so interesting that I think I'm gonna probably have to do it on solo tonight because there are a lot of my co-hosts, not all, but there are many of my co-hosts that seem to take issue or I would say not feel comfortable. I'd use that terminology. Maybe they're not feeling comfortable with the fact, or with the topic, maybe I should say, of this conversation that we're having. So let me share with you what our conversation is going to be on tonight. We're discussing the difference between a black person and a nigga. There's a big difference between the two. My wife, she's constantly getting on me about the fact that I use the term nigga a lot not a lot, but there are times when I use that term when I'm talking, and she's constantly getting on me saying, you can't use that term. That's derogatory and things of that nature, and I understand that, but, it's almost just like, maybe I could explain. I'm back. I don't know why my Wi-Fi is acting up today. Probably because of this topic. I'm almost certain that's what it is. But anyway, maybe I want to break it down like this. First of all, let me say this. The term nigger, Nigger, is the term that black people were called in slavery. And we were called that, and it has many different meanings. It goes through Latin and other languages. And the definition of it basically means black. Now, when they started using it as a racial slur during slavery, it was based on, the definition was based on a person that can't get anything right, or a dumb person, or a stupid person, an unintelligent person. So if you put black and unintelligent together, that's what white people were saying that black people were during that time. Now, as the term evolved in the 90s, when rap artists started using it in their rap, and they took the ER off and put an A at the end, and instead of nigger, it was nigga. It didn't mean the same thing as when white people used it during slavery. Nigga meant a term of endearment, or that's my bro, that's my guy, that's my homeboy, whatever, But then they also used it in a derogatory term, based on, like, if the guy did something wrong to him, lied on him or whatever, I'm gonna get that. Well, they tell us to use N-word, and we're gonna deal with that in a minute too. Why we use the term N-word and not say the word out, and why they have programmed us to use N-word. But during the 90s, when they came out with the rap music, that term nigga, again, was like a term of endearment. But then it also meant it had a derogatory side to it as well. That nigga snitched on me, or that did me wrong, or that N-word did this, and I'm going to get that N-word. Bernie Mac used MF in a in a joke that he used during the Kings of Comedy, and the N word kind of fits kind of in there too. If you took MF, if y'all saw that, if you take MF out and put the N word in there, it means the same thing as MF, basically. So at some point, you know, especially when it was in rap music, and then we had other races that was listening to rap music, and they were singing the lyrics of the rap songs, and they would be around black people, and they would say the N word singing the lyrics, and black people would look at them and be like, no, that's a no. You can't do that. You can't say that, and for good reasons based on their history of using the term during slavery, and you don't know whether they're just singing it or saying it in the terminology that we as black people use it. So a lot of times they couldn't. Well, not a lot of times. At no time could people of other racial ethnic races use that term in front of us. They may have did it behind closed doors, but now the thing is, we could use it though. I can say, yeah, what's going on, my nigga? What's going on? Well, I don't use that terminology like that, but that's how black people now are using that terminology, right? But they can't use it. So what happened? They decided, well, if we can't use it, you shouldn't use it either. And so N-word was introduced to us. You can't say nigga, you have to use N-word. And this is why a lot of black people are very uncomfortable having a conversation like this, because, you know, there will be probably people on their job might see them on here having a conversation like that and say that was very inappropriate. People are going to say that anyway. Right today, they're going to say this podcast was very inappropriate because I used the word nigga. But you have to understand that there's a difference between black people or a black person and an N-word. So if you use the N-word, it's almost just like saying a person is ratchet. If you know some ratchet people, you got some friends that are ratchet, you know that you don't have to call them ratchet. You know, if you said this nigga is this, or this N-word is that, or, you know, this N-word gets on my nerves. That covers all of that. But I want to show you this video because the video don't go into it as much as I would like to, but I'm going to go into it a little deeper after I show you the video real quick. It's just maybe about a minute or a couple of minutes long. So let me share this with you real quick. Here we go.
Let's assess the behavior that I associate with niggas and the behavior I associate with black people. A black person is somebody who is educated, they work hard, or they do whatever. They're educated, they make sure that they support their family, their bills are paid, and they're not out here starting shit. That's my definition of a black person. Now my definition of a nigga. Niggas are loud, ignorant, disrespectful, uneducated, lazy, and they do nothing but start shit. So as you can see, I have a clear distinction between a black person and a nigga.
All right. That's his distinction between a black person and an N-word, right? And I guess I got to use the N-word because we're on Facebook and we're on YouTube, and they like shutting people down, saying that they violated the community rules and things of that nature. And so I'm going to try my best, maybe I should say that, to use the N word as much as I can tonight. But you have to understand that what we're saying here is that a N-word, a person that's an N-word is a disrespectful person. Matter of fact, they're a slight to the race. And an N-word don't have to be a black person. I bet y'all didn't peep that. There are some white N-words, and then you got your N-words that are women. And I got a term for them too, but I guess I can't say it. I can't say it on YouTube or on Facebook because I'll get shut down. But there are Hispanic N-words, because anybody that's disrespectful, loud and obnoxious, a person that don't give a damn about nothing or nobody. They use foul language all the time, like it's English. That feel like everything that you got is theirs too, and they'll bust you in the head and take it from you because they don't feel you deserve to have it, and you know what they call that? Lacking. If they catch you lacking, and they can get up on you and bust you upside your head and take your stuff or break into your house and steal your stuff, because you was lacking. See, that's an N-word. Yeah, N-word comes in all kind of colors, shapes, and forms, But for some reason, when we use the word to identify an N-word, when we see one or talking about one, we got these folks that's always trying to tell us that you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that word. It's such a derogatory word, and I understand it. I really do. I understand that it's derogatory. But let's really look at this thing. If you check out the history of the word in itself. Now check this out. I did a little research. Now check this out. It says the early 20th century, some African Americans, and I don't even like that, them calling us African Americans. Do you know that black people have had so many name changes over the years? I don't understand why there are people that seem to want to identify us, with their terminology. Did you know that African American is the name Africa was not named or wasn't the name of a black person? Amerigo Vespucci was not a black person. That's who Africa was named after. And then I said that wrong. Amerigo Vespucci was the Italian that America was named after, and African was named after another white person. Just do the research. So when you call yourself an African American, you're calling yourself a white person or white, because those two names were named after white people. When we were colored, it fit us more. The Negro or whatever those terms that well, I'm gonna go into it because I did some research here. It says some African American writers and community members began to use the word among themselves. In 1912, novel The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man notes it used some black men as a term singular to fellow, like a fellow, or even a term of endearment, but strictly prohibited the use by white people. See, now this is what I was saying earlier. In the 90s, when we started using it in rap music and using it as a term of endearment, we were using this term. We could use it freely with each other and things of that nature. But a white person better not say it or use it. And because of that, they had to create this environment, and they used social media to do it, by which they had to stop us from using it by saying it. Say it's a derogatory term, right? And so we shouldn't use it. If you want to use it, you should say N-word. Now that's what they did. Okay, that's now there's different variations of it. As I said, they got the GGA, and it became a prominent part of the African American vernacular or English and hip hop culture. For many, this variant is seen as an act of reappropriation, transforming the slur into a term of solidarity and affection. So you see, they were changing it up, and we know that that's what they were doing, because we decided to take or use terminology and redefine it for ourselves. And because we redefined it for ourselves, they had to then turn around and readjust that so we couldn't use it because white people can't use it. But now let's look at black people. You heard that guy, and he didn't even look like a black person, but he was, But black people are out here doing the best that they can. They're trying to do what's right. That's how most black people are. Black people are trying to stick together. It's hard because there's a lot of N-words among us, even in our families. You got N-words in your family. An N-word uncle, an N-word cousin, an N-word niece, an N-word nephew. You see what I'm saying? You got N-words all over the place, on the job, at work. You got N-words, But we don't bust them out. We call them all these different kind of definitions. And we call them all these different things, arrogant. We call them ignorant, but the N-word covers it all, And so we got black people that are trying their best to do what's right. They're trying to abide by the rules and the regulations, even though that ain't working for us. The judicial system, that ain't working for us. Even though we try to do what's right, but then you still got these N-words, which again are ignorant, don't want to follow rules or regulations. It's just I even see people. The light turns, the traffic lights turns yellow. You driving down the street, and you see the light yellow. You're about a car length away from the intersection. And so you take your foot off the gas and you start to slow down because it's about to turn red, right? Do you know an N-word will run right through the red light, and be upset if the police pulls them over, because they were in a hurry. They were tired of the real reason is they don't never take track of time. In other words, you got to be somewhere at 8 o'clock in the morning. You don't leave at 7:45 and think you're going to get there on time. That's what N-words do. If you want to get somewhere, you got to be somewhere at 8 o'clock. You need to leave at 7 o'clock, even if you're driving. This is what black people do. You see, but these N-word people, they are becoming the majority now. It seems like being ignorant, being disrespectful, not caring about other people's feelings and things of that nature, and just saying any and everything that comes to your mind. That seems to be the order of the day now. And so we're living in the world of the N-words. And black people like you and I, we sitting here just shaking our head wondering what the hell is going on. But we are the mothers and fathers of these N-words. We are the uncles and aunts of these N-words. Y'all feel me? But we don't say nothing. We ain't doing nothing. Now, I know I hear you all out there. Well, my children ain't no N-word. My children don't do that. That's possibly so. That's a possibility. Because I know I say that about my son. But I know my son ain't no angel. He do his share of crazy, stupid stuff. Now, one thing I can say about my son that I believe, and I've seen evidence of this, that he's not disrespectful to grown people. He would never curse in front of a grown person. And if he did, he didn't know you was there. Whereas you got some N-words that don't give a damn. Whether it's a room full of grown people, they just haul off and MF suck my this and kiss my this, and they just gone. They don't. And if you say something, they be like, F you, B. This is the N-word. This is what I'm trying to get you all to see. These N-words are making it bad for black people. They give black people a bad name. Now, am I saying that we should round up all the N-words, put them in a concentration camp and kill them or anything? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the N-words, they weren't born that way. They were made that way by these streets and by the fact that their parents, you and I, well, not my son, but you know what I'm saying. You and I, we did not do the job that we were supposed to do as parents and guardians to these young people, to the point to where they are out here just willy-nilly doing whatever the hell they want to do with no regard for nobody. And now check this out. You got grown 40, 50-year-old, 60-year-old N-words now. You would think that a person in their 50s and 60s would have enough sense to carry themselves a little bit differently. But you have them. They're out here acting just like the young N-words. Driving just wild and crazy like them. Well, back in the day, they used to, what did they call that? When a 50-year-old man, and I've seen these too, with his pants sagging, hat banging to the left or to the right, smoking a blunt, and using foul language and doing all the things that the other N-words are doing. You would think at 50 and 60 years old, that N-word would have got his stuff together. Hey, Quee. What Quee is saying, because a lot of black people are the N-word, and it's sad and depressing. Lord have mercy on this generation. I feel you, Quee. But it ain't just the generation now. It's these grown N-words now, grown male and female N-words. I want to tell y'all what, but I ain't gonna do that. And it's becoming almost like a fad. I remember they have all these fashion fads. There was a hairstyle out a while back where they were wearing these two, I guess you call them puff balls in their hair. I've seen women doing that all the time, but guys was doing it, But that's a whole nother conversation, because that gets into this effeminate kind of thing, where we aren't comfortable with who we are, so we have to try our best to be something other than who we were born and created to be. But you all have to understand that, we can talk about the apple, but apples come off of a tree, and every one of us represent a tree. And we got some bad apples in the barrel, as we call it. These bad apples didn't become bad apples by themselves. These bad apples became bad apples because the tree was bad. And usually when you have a bad tree, you chop it down. If it ain't producing good fruit, you chop it down, right? No, not these trees. And understand this. These things don't happen overnight. He represents family, right? Because we every time we have family reunions all the time, people put trees on their shirts. Family reunion, big old tree on their shirt, because it represents their family, right? And then the roots is the ancestors, the great 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 grandmama and the great 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 granddaddy, they the roots, But if you got a bunch of rotten apples coming off of your tree, then what is that saying about your tree? Now, the only way you can cover it up is to say, well, they ain't that bad. And, they ain't bad at all. They somebody made them upset, so that's why they cut so and so out. That's why they got upset and took a bat and bust dude in his head, because somebody made them mad. But now check this out. If somebody was to take a bat and bust them upside their head, then that person would be wrong, right? Let me paint a picture for you. Say I'm sitting on a bus, a CTA bus, right? And a bunch of young people sitting in the back. And they just cussing and be this and MF or that, and they just gone. And there's a bunch of older women sitting on the bus, and I get up and say, hey, y'all need to cool that out, man. Don't y'all see all these elderly sisters on the bus, and this and another? And some dude jump up in my face and say, F you, grandpa, man, you need to sit your OA down before I kick your MFNA. And I take my elbow and hit him in his throat, and he fall down choking. I'm wrong. That's child abuse, right? Right? So because of a law, it keeps us from disciplining niggas. Oh, I said it. I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry. I can't take it back. Let me try to take it back. N-words. That's what I meant. They created a law that allowed N-words to grow and develop without being checked or chastised, because the law says you cannot touch these N-words. I don't care what they're doing. So now we got to ask the question. We got to ask the question. Are our children, and is our race and our society going to hell with a gasoline jacket on just because we are not good people? Or were we manipulated and using laws and social media directed like cattle in this direction to where we are all eventually transforming and changing into an N-word? because N-word, being an N-word is so popular now, and it's the thing to be. And if you're not an N-word, you like a sore thumb. You stick out. You know, I can't get my thumbs in the camera. You sticking out. And so you stay in the house. Or if you go out, you don't say much. You go out and do what you got to do, and you get home real quick. You got to rush back home because you're surrounded by N-words. And not just the black ones. I got to be clear with this. You got to understand, it ain't just a black thing. It's a human thing. And this is by design. This is what I'm trying to get you all to see. I need you all to look at this thing. Because it's by design that these folks had to create this N-word thing and make it where people like me can communicate with my own people, honestly, and tell you what the hell is going on in our society and in our families and in our race as a people. I can't say that. I got to use the term N-word to kind of sugarcoat it down. You know, it don't sound so bad if you say N-word. In contrast, that's a low down, dirty N-word. See, does that have any kick to it? No. But if I say low down, dirty nigga, you know exactly what I mean, right? So, you guys made some comments. I'm sorry, I was talking. I usually have somebody on here to check these for me. Was that Queen says it's a lot of grown, immature, ignorant N-words, and it's becoming the norm. Exactly, it is. See, and this is exactly what, but nothing is being done. See, when you allow, it's almost just like having an infection. If you have an infection, and you let's say in your toe, let's say your big toe, the toenail gets infected, and you don't do nothing about it. Guess what? It's gonna spread to the other toes. Then it's gonna spread to your foot. Then it's gonna spread to your leg. Then what has to happen at some point, if you just keep letting it going on and on, at some point, if it gets all the way through your leg, they're gonna have to cut your whole leg off in order to what? Stop the infection, right? Now, in biblical times, there was a thing called leprosy. And people that had this disease called leprosy, they were separated from the rest of the people because this was a disease, almost kind of like COVID. Now, you know, when people had COVID, they had to separate them. They quarantined them. That's what they called it, right? They quarantined them. But now leprosy was a little different because with leprosy, wasn't no cure. All you could do is infect other people, and you're gonna die. Either way, you're gonna die, you know. But because people didn't want to be infected by leprosy, they separated them and put them in another areas, you know, away from the regular people. Now, am I saying that that's something that we need to do as a people with these N-words? I believe it's getting to that point. I don't believe we're there yet. I believe if we wake up as parents and as guardians and start checking our young people and not allow the fear of the law. Now everybody ain't like that. I know some of my podcast co-hosts. We had a brief conversation about this, and they were saying, you know, it's like a lot of children are taking advantage of the fact that the law says that you can't punish them or whoop them. Maybe that's the term I'm going to use. You can't whoop them as punishment because that's abuse. And they can call the police and get you arrested. Well, I've had some of my co-hosts say, well, you know, I told my kid, you got to get to the phone first to call them, and I don't think you're gonna make it, you know. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory or anything. I'm saying that if you are in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, you got your butt whooped. And from getting your butt whooped, it kept you in line. It kept you in check. There's certain things that you might have wanted to do and that society was saying that you should do or this, that, and another, but you didn't do it because you got tired of that butt whooping. Those whoopings hurt, you know, and so you didn't want to have to go through that. And so you kind of stayed in line, you know. You didn't go on with what everybody was saying, what the people, all the guys in the school was going to go and butt break in this store and this and that and other, you know. Now, I ain't saying I did some stupid stuff like that back in the day. I did, you know. And so, but what I am saying is that because I had parents that was on me, they may not have caught everything that I was doing, but they caught the majority of the stuff that I was doing. So it kept me out of trouble and it kept me in check. Ain't nobody keeping these kids in check. And no, now, again, I know it ain't all the kids. You see, and I hear some of y'all out there, my kids ain't doing that. See, you act like your kids is the only kids in this race. That's a part of the black race. No, it's a whole lot of us. We talk that crap. It take a village. It take a village. Y'all always saying that crap. But when it comes to the village need checking, oh, that ain't my responsibility. They ain't my kids. That's all. She need to take care of that. She needs to, or he needs to, you know. We get to pointing fingers. The whole village thing go out the window then. I'm saying that if we are a village, and we are, that we have to be responsible for what our village produces. And our village is producing N-words. I ain't talking about the Hispanic or the white ones. I'm just talking about the black N-words. And I ain't saying African American. Black. That's who we are. We're black men and women. Let's see. Let's get to some of y'all comments. What else you saying in here? Saying it's the new phase. Okay. Okay, Queen. Yeah, there's a lot of bad trees out here, ain't it? But not. Who's gonna accept and who's going to fess up and say, I'm the matriarch, I'm the patriarch of a bad tree? Who gonna confess that? Nobody. Nobody wants to be responsible for producing N-words. But we got a lot of black people. Now this is what get me. There's a lot of black people that end up changing or transforming into N-words because they don't want to check their little N-word children and family members. And so in order to cover up the fact that they were slacking in their jobs and their duty as guardians over these young people, then you have to be just like them. You have to make everything look the same so that it looks normal. See, being loud and obnoxious is normal now. You know, not caring about a person's feeling is a normal thing now. And see, and we've allowed ourselves to be, what do I call it? Assimilated. That's a good word. We've allowed ourselves to be assimilated into N-words. I can go on TikTok, YouTube, all these social media platforms, and I could just pull you up video after video of N-words acting ignorant. Just straight retarded. And the funny thing is that Facebook and YouTube seem to be okay with that. And that should say something to you about these platforms. They will shut me down for saying nigga. But they got videos up, live videos of people shooting people, robbing people, murdering people. But they call it unalive now. You can't say murder. You got to say unalive now. They be unaliving people. And these videos are up on Facebook. No problem. But if I use the real N-word, they'll want to shut me down and want to put me in Facebook jail and YouTube jail. I've been there a couple of times, Why is that? What does that say about them? And what is that saying about what they think about you? If they would shut a brother like me down and let an N-word, let's look at society. I'm showing you something. Let's look at society. We just saw this Diddy thing, right? Now, do you think? Well, how should I say this? Do you think that Diddy got off all of those charges? All those charges was dropped and all of that, right? Do you think all that happened because he was innocent? Do you think Diddy was innocent of bringing women across state lines, prostituting them off? You think he was innocent? I don't. But why? You have to ask yourself the question. Why did he get off? Why did he get off? It's because that kind of activity, the things he was involving himself in as a black man, is what they want to promote. This is what they want people in social media and on YouTube. They want us to see this. They want us to admire it. They want us to follow its lead. A wise person told me this a long time ago, and I still hold it today. That when you have a person that's in high authority, that's in a position of high authority, and they do something immoral, the span of that person's authority is infected by that immoral act. Let me show you what that means. President, and being president, I think, is the highest authority we can really think about in this country. President Bill Clinton was accused of having a young lady give him fellatio. See, I'm using the right terms. See how good I am? See, I ain't that bad. Giving him fellatio in the Oval Office and getting semen on her dress, right? From the fellatio. Now, you do your research. Now look at the rise in oral sex after that came out. Every guy on the planet was like, that got to go first. It ain't even about kissing and hugging and snuggling and all that, before you have sex. No, it went past that now. It's like, I got to have some fellatio before we get down. Do the research. You see for yourself. And then just look at all the other people in power, all these people. You know, it ain't got to be the president. It could be the patriarch or matriarch in your family. Let it come out that one of them did something immoral. It may piss you off, and it might make you want to do something harmful to them. But I bet you it has an effect, especially if it's a guy that did it. It's going to have an effect on the younger men in that family. That's how can I say it? They were infected by him. And this is how you have pedophiles that seem to, pedophiles that seems to rebirth themselves throughout the family, or that family tree, maybe I should say it like that. R. Kelly, we talk about R. Kelly, you know, Poe R. Kelly, you know, he's a victim, you know, and we know that when they white people, you know, well, maybe I should say white people know that when it's a white person that's a drug addict and things like that, they need rehab and stuff like that. You know, they talk rehab and therapy and all that kind of stuff. R. Kelly was molested as a young boy by his sister, sexually molested by his sister. And as he grew up, that molestation, or him being molested, converted him, or maybe I should say he was infected by being molested. And then as he grew older, he grew into a molester. Now, I hear a lot of y'all out there. See, I'm psychic, so I can hear y'all when y'all be talking. I hear y'all out there talking about, I was molested when I was a young person and I'm not a pedophile. Good for you. I'm very happy for you. But you are not the majority. You are not. Let me show you how this works. Have you, well, I can't ask this question because nobody is on here live but me. But how many of you, I'm going to ask anyway, you can't answer, but how many of you have been done wrong over and over again the same way? Let me give you an example. If you was a good person and you kicked in every relationship you got in, now as a man, I just use me as an example. Let's say I keep getting in every relationship I get in, I try my best to be a good guy. I try to look out for my girlfriend. I buy her lunch or whatever. If we in high school, you know, even though lunch was free. But y'all see where I'm going with this. I try to be a nice guy, and at every rip, that person cheats on me. It happened the first time. All right, I moved on. I got another girlfriend. That girlfriend cheated on me. Then the next girlfriend cheated on me. Now, how many times am I going to let a girlfriend cheat on me before I become the cheater? How many times would you be cheated on before you became the cheater? Or would you just stop? Don't say you would. You just stop. You don't want no girlfriend anymore. No, you're going to get a girlfriend. You're going to get another girlfriend, but your mentality is I'm going to do her before she do me. So I'm going to have her and another girl. So this is how you create immoral people, or get people, or how Pedophiles are created. You keep doing that to them, and eventually they become the doers. Does that make sense? I don't know if you guys can. Well, most of y'all can't say anything, but this is why we have to understand the differences between things. We have to fight to stay black. We got to be black people, not African Americans, not any other damn terminology they come up with to define us. We're black. We've always been black. If you was born in Europe, you're a black European. If you was born in Africa, you are a black African. If you was born in Cuba or something like that, you're a black Cuban. China, you're a black Chinese, Japanese, you're a black Japanese. You cannot give up that terminology, because that is the terminology that they don't want us to have, because they keep wanting to give us some other term. We was black back in the day, and they wanted to say we were Negroes. We were black, then they said we were coons. We were black, then they said we was niggas. We were black, then they said we was African Americans. All these different terminologies. So let me see. We got any more comments? You guys, Herc is on here. What's up, Herc? What is he saying? We live in a liberal society. Vote Republican. Bro, come on, man. You've been drinking the Kool-Aid, dude. Don't you know the Democrats and the Republicans, they work together? Ain't no separation, Democrats and Republicans. They all the same. They are the same. Ain't no difference. But you go ahead and believe that. You gonna stop drinking the Kool-Aid at some point and realize that now this is derogatory, so I'm gonna have to clean it up. I gotta say it in my head first. An elephant and a donkey equals a H donkey. I think I cleaned that up. Do y'all get it? The elephant is the symbol for the which party is that? I think that's the Democrats, the elephant, and the Republicans are donkeys, or maybe it's vice versa. I don't remember. But one of them is an elephant, and the other one is a donkey, and both of them are donkeys with an H. Just take the D off and put the H on there. Y'all get it? Ain't no difference. Ain't no difference. So stop drinking that Kool-Aid, I'm telling y'all. So look like my time is about up, y'all. So I'm gonna have my closing thoughts here. And I just want us to understand that we are being manipulated. This N-word thing that they've put out here through social media and things of that nature to keep us from having some power over them. You see, because that's really power, to be able to, and they're fearful of it too, because we ain't playing that. If a white person, I don't care who you are, use that terminology in front of us, we're going to be like, excuse me? What the hell you just say? And they had to stop that. They had to bring us back to even ground. See, now they can use N-word and we use N-word. And so now we all even now. Ain't that sweet? Ain't that good? So don't drink the Kool-Aid, guys. Do your research. You know, everything that you read and you see on TV, and you read in posts in social media, that's not, just because you see it on the news and you see it on social media, don't make it the truth. Think for yourself. That's what this podcast is about. Not just going along with what people say because she's cute and so she must know what she's talking about, or he got 1,000 followers, he got 1 million followers, so he must know what he's talking about. Did y'all know that Jesus Christ didn't have a whole bunch of people following him? Huh. Think for a change, y'all. Think. Just because you got a whole bunch of followers don't mean you right. It don't even mean what you're saying is right. Most people that are, how can I say, that really have your best interest at heart, there's not a whole lot of people following them. There's not a whole lot of people listening to them. That's being Christ-like. I know y'all ain't getting it, but just think about it. It'll come to you. With that, I thank you all for being on here. Let me see. Who all we got? Okay, we got Hercules, Quee, Boo Mac. I think that's it. It was just you guys. Thank you all for being on here. I appreciate you. We had some more people that was on. They didn't make any comments, you know, but that's cool. But I thank you all for being on here. And until next week, now, yes, sir. Christ-like, my man. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Next week, we're going to be, it's going to be another deep conversation. I don't know. I might be by myself next week again, too. Because some of these conversations, and I guess I could say this. The reason I'm having these conversations is because a lot of us don't know this stuff. You know, and next week, I'm going to be talking about some stuff that deals with, well, maybe I should say it like this. Next week is for your third eye only. And some of you don't even know what your third eye is and what I'm referring to when I say your third eye. But your third eye is your spiritual eye. It's the eye that it's your real eye, actually, because your physical eyes aren't really your eyes. The physical eyes, well, I have to break it down. So and this is not the show for that. But this next show that's coming up next Thursday, it's going to be kind of deep. I mean, really deep. It's going to be deep as hell. Because we're going to be going into scripture and helping you to see what these scripture really are talking about. You know, like, I'm going to give you an example and we're going to get out of here. The tree of life in the garden represents a woman. Listen to what I'm saying. The trees bear fruit. Women bear fruit. Now, what kind of tree? There was a forbidden fruit that was eaten in the garden that got them kicked out. What kind of fruit was that? And where did it come from? This is for your third eye only next week. Y'all tune in. Tune in so that you can get this, all right? Until then, you guys, I see y'all next week. Thank you all for being here. And like always, continue to think for a change. I'm your host, Omari Jahi. Peace.
Thanks for supporting our podcast. We look forward to see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. We also ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. The more subscribers we have, the more YouTube will push our podcast to more viewers. But until then, subscribe also for a peaceful mind. Your activity will reflect that peace.